for the last conclusion, most of you have feedback on it already. If you did not submit your lab, I have not given you feedback on it, and I've just got 5 more open here that I'm just finishing up the feedback portion of. So I just want to do a sample conclusion for part of this lab. I'm not going to write a conclusion for the entire lab, but I just want to kind of give you a rough idea of what I'm looking for. The main issues that I saw with your last ones were a lot of people were rewriting the procedure and rewriting the objectives instead of like telling the story of what happened during their lab, and inferring their results. So a conclusion, if we look at how to write a conclusion, it is the narrative part of your reporting, and it tells you kind of the story of like what, how, what did you find, and then the biggest thing is what does this mean? So finding a conclusion based on your data and observation, and actually saying like because and therefore. So those kinds of things, actually interpreting your data and turning it into what were we looking for. So types of chemical reactions. So the first thing that it says in the conclusion section of this, after all of your questions, it says, for each of the 7 reactions in this experiment, write a balanced equation and classify it as synthesis, decomposition, single replacement, or double replacement reaction. So what I would suggest doing for this reaction, or for this lab, is making kind of 4 separate parts to your conclusion. So one of them being, in this lab, there were, how many synthesis reactions were there? How many synthesis reactions did we see? 3? 2? Okay, I'll see you on tomorrow? No, not tomorrow. Wednesday. Okay. Yeah, anyways. We saw 2 synthesis, right? There were 2 synthesis reactions. The first synthesis reaction, and then it would be Cu occurred when copper wire was placed in a flame. This caused it to react with oxygen, creating a green flame and changing the color of the wire. Right, that's pretty all right. And then I would write out my balanced equation. Copper plus oxygen goes to blah, 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 and balance it. Okay, and then you could talk about it a little bit. Or like then the second synthesis reaction was blah, 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 balanced reaction. And then in these synthesis reactions, we can see from our results, the table 1, that there were signs of chemical reactions occurring. In a synthesis reaction, or maybe like this is consistent with what should happen in theory as, oh, I was thinking about single replacement reactions. Anyway, maybe don't include that then. Blah, blah, blah. But, you know, in your single replacement ones, you could write, this is what should happen in theory, because we know that copper has a higher activity than iron based on our activity chart or something. So talk about the type of reaction. Talk about that type of reaction in relation to your specific reactions that you did. Talk about your results. When it comes to talking about like how you did it, don't write out your procedure again. write out when copper wire was placed in a flame. That is good enough for incorporating what you did in. Yep. No, you can write them out on the computer. Yeah. So one thing that you can do, I would recommend, is just for making your like too small and stuff, you can hit Control comma with it highlighted, and that'll make it small. Whoops. Yeah. So you can write them all out on the computer. Yeah. On Thursday. Yeah. So this is due Thursday. I'm going to give you a little bit of time in class tomorrow, but I would really recommend having at least a rough draft of your conclusion finished by. Try to work on the conclusion a little bit tonight while it's fresh in your head. Have at least a rough draft, and then you can ask me questions and kind of refine it tomorrow. But yeah, my suggestion for this lab would be split it into different parts based on the types of reactions, and then just really, like tell a story with it, tie in other information that you know. Don't explicitly say at the beginning, we did this, 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 and this, like the procedure or the purpose, and then list out exactly what you have written at the beginning. Kind of blend that into it. So you're telling the story of what happened, why it happened, and why you know that in this. Any questions around that?